in this lecture, we will study mostly about the current affairs which were in the news recently in the last year and the present year. The first one that we're going to discuss is about the National Stem Cell Registry, which was in the news. So, National Stem Cell Registry. Now, India is developing the National Stem Cell Registry of its own. It is actually the government-managed database of the unrelated bone marrow donors. So basically the main aim is to find the matching donors for treating the patients with the blood-related disorders. There are multiple disorders, so we can say that why we are doing such thing, because we want to find matching donors for the blood-related disorders for patients suffering from blood disorders. So these are mainly like the blood cancer is there, which is basically the lymphoma, leukemia, the thalassemia, sickle cell anemia, hemophilia, and this is what it does. And most importantly, the registration if you want to register yourself, now the registration is voluntarily. So registration is voluntary, right? So this is it's about. So when we talk about its importance, is that every about 3.5 to 5 lakh people in India suffer from the blood related disorders like thalassemia, which requires a frequent blood transfusions. The only cure for the blood related disorders is a bone marrow transplantation, and the matching donor is very much crucial for that. So for the bone marrow transplantation, the donor and the patient should have exactly the same white blood cell type. So the siblings usually have the exact match and thus suitable for the bone marrow transplantations. So thus matching the donors is extremely low, and the database will help to connect the unrelated matching donors. So this is what about the National Stem Cell Registries is doing. The next one that we're going to talk about is the BioBank. Now, the BioBank is basically a repository itself that accepts, processes, stores, and distributes the biospecimen. So, it is a repository which accepts, which processes, and which stores, which also distributes what? Biospecimens and related data for the academic and the clinical use. That's important. For academic and clinical use. So, the starting with a small laboratory-based biobanks which catering the research needs for the specific projects. It helps tremendously in different domains. So the large-scale, the biorepository have been created in order to collect, analyze, and store the phenotypic and the genetic information of the representative samples from around the globe. So the current age, the biobanks are the government-supported commercial, population-based, and virtual. So the virtual biobanks are like electronic databases that helps in investigators to locate the biospecimens, and they also include like DNA, RNA, tissue, cell lines, proteins, phenotype, etc. It can have anything regarding these things. So in India we have multiple locations, and the multiple locations we have multiple biobanks. So few of the examples for the biobanks are like the ICAR, that National Bureau for the Animal Genetic Resources in Haryana. So National Bureau of Animal Genetic Resource in Haryana. Similarly, the one we have, the National Bureau of Plant Genetic Resource in the Pusa. Similarly, we have National Bureau of Fish Genetic Resource in the Lucknow. Then we have agricultural importance microorganisms in the UP. So we have multiple of them. For example, National Center for Cell Sciences in Pune. We also have the one in the IIT Madras. So something like that. We also have one in the IIT Bombay because I remember. So yes. So CSCIR is basically is about the Institute of the Microbiotechnology. They also have the one domain or department specifically for this. So these are the few biobanks in India. The next one that we're going to discuss is regarding the Mitochondrial Eve. In human genetics, the mitochondrial Eve is the matrilineal most recent common ancestor. For all the living humans, that is the most recent woman from whom all the living humans descended in an unbroken line purely through their mothers and through the mothers of those mothers, so back until all lines converge on one woman. That's what called the mitochondrial Eve. So the male analog of the mitochondrial Eve is the Y chromosome atom. So this is for the female, and for the male this is basically the Y chromosome atom. So the individual from whom all living humans are patrilineally descended. So the mitochondrial Eve is regarding a woman from whom all the recent woman from whom all the ancestry lines goes on in an unbroken line. And similarly for the male, it is the Y chromosome atom, from whom all living humans are patrilineally descended. So scientists in 2019 actually traced the mitochondrial Eve to in a Kalahari desert for the one woman that is called the Makagadika. It is basically, you can remember the name that in 2019 the scientists have discovered the mitochondrial Eve of Makgadi Kegadi. Okay, I don't know how to spell this word. Paleo wetland. So MAK, Makgadi, GADI, then again K, then GADI. Makgadi, Kegadi, and Paletwali wetland in Kalahari desert. This is about the mitochondrial Eve they have discovered. Similarly, also in the news, it is regarding the MANAV. Now the MANAV is what stands for basically, it is a Human Atlas Initiative. It is a Human Atlas Initiative. Now it has been launched by the Department of Biotechnology. It is a project to construct the comprehensive map of every tissue of the human body. So basically the comprehensive map of every tissue level in human body. So it's also keep to capture the human psychology at the tissue level in the natural and the disease state. So we can say the human physiology, not psychology. And the objectives are basically to provide the better biological insights of the human physiology, to understand the role of the tissues, cells linked to the various diseases, develop the disease model through the predictive computing, drug discoveries, etc. and etc. So this is mainly about the MANAV. So yes, next one that we're gonna discuss is the genome project in India, and that we're gonna discuss in the next chapter. Thank you guys.